In today's episode, we are going to talk about the nuances of writing a contest-winning speech. And to help me answer the questions for how do we do that, I have someone special who has traveled all the way from Europe to attend this podcast. She has been a Toastmaster since 2021 and has taken various XCOM roles, from being the past president, VPM, VPPR, and I'm happy to say that she has been the winner at the area ISC contest and runner-up at the division speech contest. Let me welcome with a huge round of applause Toastmaster Muskan. Hi Muskan, how are you doing?
Hi Vidita, I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me to this podcast.
Absolutely. So how was your trip to Europe?
It was lovely. It was a first time experience going outside India, traveling with my family, absorbing the different kinds of cultures in so many countries really opened my mind to so many experiences.
That's great to know. So let's start our discussion. Are you ready?
Sure, Vidita.
Muskan, I'd like to begin by asking you, in my experience, I have seen many Toastmasters who have a lot of things to say, a lot of stories to share, but they don't know how to compile it into a speech. Moreover, they are more prompt to go and just say what they want to say and not present it in a structured manner. So in your opinion, what do you think is the fundamental difference between a prepared speech and an impromptu speech?
I think there is a lot of difference between a prepared speech and an impromptu speech. To explain this well, I would like to give you an example.
Sure.
You can treat prepared speeches as podcast sessions or deep dive sessions, whereas impromptu speeches can be considered as Instagram reels or YouTube short videos.
Right.
So you see what I'm talking about here?
Yep.
In a prepared speech, you have the potential and the time to build up your content, to build up characters, emotions, and to really drive your speech in the desired direction. Whereas in an impromptu speech, all you get to do is deliver an anecdote and tie it with a message and convey it to the audience. So there, whatever comes to your mind first is what you deliver.
Right.
So in a way, the speech forms itself during delivery. But in a prepared speech, you are the master of your speech. You can take it in whichever direction you want. So there is a lot of potential and you can say what you want to in an impactful way.
Okay, it makes sense to me. But the follow-up question that comes to my mind is, then don't you think that we can just go with a couple of pointers in my head as part of prepared speech and do not have a structure but still go onto the stage with those points in mind and deliver a long speech? Is that a possibility?
To this, I would like to say that yes, many people do that. That is also a speech format which is followed by many speakers. And you should also definitely practice this way of speaking because there might be situations where you would want to put this to use. But talking from an ISC perspective, I don't think this is the best approach. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because in an ISC, the participants who come, they perfect every sentence of their speech. They practice every gesture. So every hand action, every word they use is crafted to perfection. So you can't take the risk of having just pointers in your head and going on to stage and thinking that you will deliver it in the way you imagine it in your head.
Right.
So time is of the essence. You may have brilliant ideas in your mind, but if you're not able to convey all that in a neatly tied package, that would mean the end of your speech because it will fail to create the desired impact which it could have had because your ideas, I'm hoping, are absolutely genius.
Right. I think what she's trying to say is be so good that they can't ignore you. So to create that impact, you have to prepare each and every bit of your speech. It is both the verbal delivery and the non-verbal cues that you give through your body language.
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
Okay. Moving on, now since we have established the difference between a prepared speech and an impromptu speech and what impact it creates, and we also got some examples from her, I would want to know, now when you are in the mood of writing a prepared speech, the first thing is how catchy should be my title. And then there comes another thing in my mind is how much of the idea, the original idea of my speech should I reveal through my title? So could you throw some light on whether my title should be too catchy to grab audience attention, or whether my title should not reveal so much information about my topic well in advance? What should we do?
That is a very good question and a genuine doubt that people often get. So remember I talked about a neatly tied package that is your speech? This idea was conveyed by Verity Price in one of her seminars on how to write a speech winning contest. So there she talks about your speech being a gift. So if your speech is a gift to the audience, that would mean the title is actually the packing, the wrapping paper, the ribbon that you place on it. In order for the recipients to be excited about your speech, they should find the wrapping attractive, that is your title. There is one very popular saying which goes like, if you're not able to write your message in a sentence, you probably cannot deliver it in an hour. The same can be applied to a speech. If you're not able to write the title in 5 words, you will probably not be able to deliver in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So this brings me to my first rule, which is your title should be 5 words or less than that.
Okay.
Otherwise it becomes too wordy and it will not be memorable. It's as simple as that. You want your audience to remember your speech by the title, because that is how all the iconic speeches in all the world championships of public speaking are remembered. To give you an example, we had the 2021 champion Cyril Jr. Dim, who used just one word as the title, which was Nidini, and it was quite impactful. Similarly, we have many such titles. Still Standing by Ramona J. Smith, and I can go on and on about all these champions of public speaking who use these as titles. But if you see a recurrent theme, all of them had very short and catchy titles. Also, you should ensure that you add your title at least in 4 places in the speech, because if you repeat the title more often, the audience is more likely to remember it. And this is how they will remember your speech. If they forget the title, your speech will also be forgotten. If you want it to be memorable and impactful, use that phrase over and over again in your speech as many times as you can.
Okay. I think it's a wonderful tip here, because nowadays with all the reels and short content floating around, the attention span of the audience overall has reduced. We are only limited to 45 seconds or 90 seconds of seeing the catchy thing. So to make people listen to you for 5 to 7 minutes long speech and to register your title and your key message of the speech, I think it's a brilliant idea to keep repeating your title somewhere in the speech. So write it in such a manner that it comes again and again. I think 2 to 3 times should be good, Muskan?
Yes, definitely.
Moving on to the next segment of writing a speech. Once we have a title in place, we have thought over a topic. Now comes the actual body of our speech, where we would want to explain and expand our topic. And I think 90% of us struggle to think and then decide what to write actually in the body, which should be catchy, informative, should leave an impact on the audience. So could you tell us, from your experience, how do a person put up speech in a cohesive manner? What should be the structure of speech that should be followed?
I think that forms the heart of any speech. And before the speech contest, I viewed a lot of videos of all the speeches given by the ISC champions, and I found a recurring theme in them. The structure that they followed was very generic and common, which was repeated in all of their speeches. So I also thought about sticking to the structure and seeing how well it went with the audience. The structure is, you choose a protagonist or a main character of your story. Then you define a challenge or a difficult situation that the main character is facing. Then comes the mentor, or the guiding moment in the main character's life, where there is where there is a small perspective shift or change in the way the protagonist had been dealing with things. All this leads to a message.
Okay.
So there's a character, there's a hero. Hero is the mentor or the message that you learned, the lesson that you learned. And at the heart of all this is the main message which you want to convey. If you follow this structure, you will be able to write your speech based on whatever topic you select. After this, I would also like to talk about the different kinds of elements you can include in your speech.
Okay.
We all say that public speaking and communication is an art, but I also believe it is science. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because this is an interesting concept I stumbled across. It is known as the chemistry of communications. So while you're interacting with people, a lot of hormones and chemicals are released. And you can use them to your advantage to make the audience like your speech better.
Interesting. How do we do that?
Yes, I'll tell you how. So these chemicals are dopamine. This is released when you get your audience excited and pumped up about the challenge that you're facing or the demons in your story. This is when the audience connects with you because they're so excited. Second chemical is endorphin. That is, it is released when you make the people laugh through jokes or humor. This can be another element or another flavor in your speech. The third element is oxytocin. So this hormone is responsible for human bonding and connections.
Okay.
So if you're able to deliver emotions and human fears or vulnerabilities through your speech, you will be able to establish a direct connection with the audience, which will make them feel that they really enjoyed your speech. They really liked it. So if all these points are ticked in your speech, you are bound to leave a stage or a hall full of enchanted people and applause.
Okay, wonderful. I think today, apart from the structure of speech, we also learned some science here, and I would totally agree to you. Now, since we have our title, we have our topic, we have a fair amount of idea how do I write a speech. It has to have a story, a personal connect. Everything is ready on paper, and now I have to deliver it. So before I deliver, okay, just pick up one from first can. Alright, she has picked up 2 chips, and now let me give her what is there in one.